So, Bob, I appreciate you taking some time out to talk to us today. And I want to talk a little bit about how people are shifting to get back into, the workplace and their offices. But something that a lot of people probably aren't thinking about is all the wiring and everything that makes the companies run. We take it for granted. But so now that we're getting back into the office, are there any specific measures from a technology standpoint that should be in place before the employees start filing back in?
Stephen, thanks for the question. I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to make sure that prior to getting back into the workplace, that you contact your IT provider or internal IT team, whoever it might be, and go through sort of like a checklist that you have internally before people return. And this could be anywhere from rebooting all the devices that might be on the network, rebooting your entire and starting over from your network standpoint, testing wireless, your internet speeds, your teleconferencing solutions. But you want to make sure you coordinate a timeline with your IT department prior to that. So, they have time to plan those checklists out and advise with you. You want to make sure you advise on that checklist for any work from home employees that you're advising them, look, since you've been home for quite a few months at this point, let's make sure that any documents that you saved are off of your local device and saved to whatever your corporate driver network is. I think it's important to do that because it's been quite a few months we've been home. Listen for any alarms at the office space. It could be, what's a battery backup, a UPS device. Listen for any alarms on your network equipment servers, and just let them know as you get back to the office to get into those devices and start rebooting them, get back in the swing of things, and check everything. Okay, I would advise that. But again, the biggest thing is just test prior and planning with your IT department. Let them know what your plans are.
Absolutely. That makes complete sense. And the test part seems like something that people would probably try to push past, but that really seems like that's the main thing as far as getting ready to get back up and running. But then you mentioned a little bit about those workers who will still be from home. So can you touch on a little bit about the expectations for your staff? So some people are going to be coming back in the office. Some are probably going to stay home, maybe long term. What are the requirements for both of those groups?
Yeah, Stephen. So everybody's going to have their own flavor of what is good for their business and organization. So again, reach out to your technology department, plan and coordinate with them about your ideas, share with them prior to sending out communications, because the more involved that the technology department is involved in it, the more planning and ideas you can collaborate with on, such as, are you going to have half remote and split it in half in the office while ensuring that the guidelines in place by the state or government, whoever you have, the CDC guidelines, you're doing social distancing, you're doing the proper things for a safe environment, but it's also an efficient, effective environment with technology. People working from home over the past couple of months have realized possibly, I use 2 monitors now. This is fantastic. Make sure that the same can be replicated in the office. Make sure people have their web cameras. Everyone's used to doing web conferencing now, just as we are now. So you want to make sure that when you're back in the office, maybe you decide that you don't have to show up in a conference room for a meeting anymore and be close proximity. You do it from your desk. So there are a lot of things that everyone has learned over the past few months that can be implemented and put forth in the way people work in the future. You want to make sure that people are using the video conferencing solutions. They're using secure connections from remote, those things. So you want to just listen to that, get in touch with your technology department, and plan ahead. Again, test, as we said earlier, but also plan prior to and give people time to get used to what it's like coming back to work.
Yeah, so that's perfect as far as getting everything ready to go. And then, like you said, the second part of testing in a lot of different things is feedback and adapting and evolving. So can you talk a little bit about how important it is to make sure to ask your team, your employees, whoever it is who's coming back in, for feedback along this process?
Absolutely. As with anything, if the past few months never happened, we should always be soliciting feedback from our employees. We're always trying to evolve and increase performance, efficiencies, great places to work. We always want to have a great environment to work in. Same thing goes here. People have been home. They're learning a lot about what works and what doesn't. Listen to the people that have been doing this work. So again, get in touch with your technology department. Listen to them when you get back to the office. I would say probably It's up to you as an organization, but average might be 2 weeks, because 2 weeks is more than enough time to see what's working. Leave lines open lines of communication with staff and management to listen and be receptive to what might be working and what's not working, and take action on that feedback, regardless of what it is, because they're going to know whether it's how they're feeling in the workplace. And it doesn't have to be technology related. Just having open lines of communication is very important to make this all transition be successful.
Yeah, that's good, and that's perfect. Also saying it doesn't necessarily have to be wires and technology related. I mean, sometimes it's just. I mean, I guess it sort of is, but you use two monitors, and now you want to use that when you're back in office. So I know a lot of people. I certainly have found certain things that work for me that I know will carry over and help me be more productive when I'm back in. The cubicles or the offices, wherever it is you're going. The final thing that I kind of want to ask that I think is a segue right from how important it is for feedback is the future. So as far as the future goes, what sort of planning should you be maybe looking at or preparing for or working on right now during this transition that, is planning for the future for 3 months from now or even this time next year?
Exactly, based on the future planning. So we've learned, everyone from a technology standpoint has definitely learned a lot over the last few months of what works, what doesn't work. What I mean by that is when you're home and remote, how secure is your connection to your corporate work environment? Most people didn't have to worry about that before. Now it's going to be pretty prevalent across organizations that having that type of secure connection. What does that mean? It could mean anything from having a dashboard where your applications are all web-based and you convert to that. So if you have people splitting up a workforce, they go home, you don't have to install 4 or 5, 6 applications on your computer to have a secure connection in. You actually could use a web-based portal. We call another one might be remote desktop services, where you just type in a username and password, you get presented a screen, and there's a secure connection to your environment. There are many, many different solutions. It's really about listening to what your goals are and then craft and design a solution around that. And I would definitely encourage people to get in touch with the technology department now to design those solutions so that when you're ready to go back, they're ready to flip the switch and do it. Some of them do take prior plan. Well, they all take prior planning, but they take time to coordinate and find out what works for your individual organization. So it could be a hybrid. There's a lot of solutions out there. Again, just get in touch with your technology department to start kicking ideas around so that it's ready to flip the switch when you do return back to work.
Yeah, it's perfect. And I mean, it really boils down to, I mean, it sounds like almost like a trial and error thing. I mean, and that's what a lot of business is, right? It sounds like it's getting in contact with your IT, making sure everything's ready, but then it's testing, implementing, and then this planning and evolving. So, it's not just the IT, it's also going to take some mental capacity of just, it's a new world we're in and really thinking and trying to evolve and adapt. But it does go back to the beginning. You can't get any of that started if your systems aren't up and running. So you got to make sure everything's ready to go. So that's some great guidelines. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be able to talk more again soon, and hopefully it'll be in person.
Yeah, that would be fun. Thanks a lot, Steven.
I appreciate it, Bob. Thanks.